Now to Sean Diddy Combs. Looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial, senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced, as prosecutors allege.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn some...
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was,
So nobody
it was crazy.
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't
But
say
you
that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there, Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people
all
are
of
hanging
these-
around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary J.
okay?
Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And what kind, do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
The result of being around that man, Sean Puffy Combs, I don't sleep to this day. I have a problem sleeping to this day. Like, yo, man, I'm here to work, man. I ain't sang in a week. I mean, I'm 13 years old, and I'm telling him, look, you're gonna put me in the studio, man. You got Biggie Smalls in there, you got Craig Mack in there. I'm not here to party with you. I don't want to go to the clubs. Matter of fact, I'm too young to even be in here. Why you got me in clubs? We would fight. We would tussle.
Well, some documents have leaked about Usher. They were obtained by Radar Online. And apparently back in 2009 or 2010, he had contracted herpes and passed it on to a celebrity stylist having unprotected sex with her. He had to pay $1.1 million to that woman for severe emotional distress. And he also covered her medical bills. That case was settled back in 2012. Now, allegedly, there was a greenish discharge from his penis.
Whoa, that's a booger.
He's not a
You can get penis boogers? I didn't
But
know
they
that.
said he said he went to the doctor. He was cleared of any STDs. So the woman went on and continued. Now, if I notice a greenish discharge oozing out of
exactly.
your penis,
This ain't Nickelodeon.
I don't know that I would
That ain't
continue.
slime.
What you gonna say,
I know
Charmaine?
all these kids playing with slime nowadays, but no.
I don't care who you are,
Ain't nothing,
okay?
Nothing green supposed to be coming out your penis.
Nah, not at all.
That's not how this works.
Nope.
Yellow comes out my penis and white. That's it.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it.
No, I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even, I don't want it to come close to the bed, at all. Usher look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. Usher.
Fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like just how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he wanted to.
We made love. We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you see Busta at the airport too. That motherfucker try to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake?
No, I never smashed.
Oh, you made love to Drake.
And Cat Williams. What's his name?
Bro, you smashing a lot of people.
What's that name? Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Usher. Usher's a gusher.
I was flown out to Atlanta by a manager. His name's Scooter Braun. Flown out to Atlanta just to meet with him and meet different producers and different people. I was actually going to meet Jermaine Dupri at his studio. And who rolls up? Usher in his Range Rover. Yeah, rolls up, and I was like, "Is that who I think it is?" And Scooter was like, "Yeah." And so I ran up to him and I was like, Usher, I love your songs. You want me to sing you one? And he was like, let's just go inside, little buddy. It's cold out. So the politest possible way he could say no, he did. And I was like, wow, he just turned me down. And I was a little disappointed. He had to go into a studio session, so I was like, whatever. And a week later, he actually watched my videos with my manager and was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I let him sing? So flew me back to Atlanta where I got to meet him again, and he wanted to sign me. But there was something else.
Justin Timberlake, right?
Yes, Justin Timberlake also wanted to sign me. It was like kind of like, what happened was Justin Timberlake and Usher both went into a ring and boxed it out. And the outcome was Usher. I think it was a TKO.
You get career. Do you know Raymond Usher the Fourth?
No.
Do you know an individual, an entertainer by the name of Usher?
Yeah, Usher. That sounds familiar.
Isn't it true that Usher was instrumental in starting your career?
What does that have to do with this litigation, Mr. DeKalb? This is just you trying to harass the client.
Before we came back here, you had asked me.
She's going to let her read back the question. Thank you for your memory.
Is it true that Usher was very instrumental in starting the career?
That was the last question. I was found on YouTube. I think that I was detrimental to my own career.
I ain't mean to stop you like that, but this is only a tease. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you Island Def Jam recording artist Justin Bieber. It's getting ready to go down. Just so you know, we're in the studio right now working on it. Get ready because it's going to be big. Ain't that right, Justin? That's right. That's right. So look out. We're coming.
First time you met Justin Bieber, this kid comes up to you. He's not Justin Bieber yet. He's just some kid. And he says, I want to sing for you.
It was at the studio of Jermaine Dupri's. I said, you know, why don't you set up a meeting between me and your manager? I'd love to meet with you and do this in a formal setting. I'm late for an appointment with Jermaine Dupri.
Right.
And I don't want to keep him waiting. Let's just do this the right way.
And then you have him come to audition for you, right?
Actually, there were a few people. My wife at the time.
Right.
It also was Perry Reed, L.A. Reid's first wife.
So you were all sitting in a room
We
somewhere.
were in a room.
Yeah.
And I showed her the video. And Perry says, are you crazy? You better get down there and meet this kid right now. He's amazing.
When all these pics come out and all this stuff with Bieber's big penis, are you the mastermind behind that? Say, listen, show off your big penis and people will come to those concerts. Or are you sitting there?
Is that the kind of manager he's doing?
Usher, are you sitting down with him and saying, yeah, show your or leave it in your pants? I mean, do you sit him down and say, look, part of this is PR,
Hey,
man.
by the way, he does have a brain of his own.
Yeah, but were you shocked at the size of his penis?
Hey, listen, he has a mind of his own. What he chose to do with his penis is his prerogative. He's managing that aspect of his life.
But Usher is somebody...
I have nothing to do with Justin Bieber's private.
All right, let's get into it. Something big is happening in the world of entertainment law. Something that's got Sean Diddy Combs scrambling for cover. And if what's coming out is true, he has every reason to be worried. Because according to multiple sources, Usher, yes, the Usher, is about to take the stand. And let's just say, this isn't the kind of testimony Diddy wants to hear. See, for years, rumors have swirled around Diddy's private life. Whispers about parties, secretive gatherings, and young talent being pulled into situations they never signed up for. But now, those whispers are getting louder. Evidence is starting to point to something far more sinister than just a wild nightlife. And the fact that Usher is reportedly being brought in as a witness, that speaks volumes. Think about it. Usher has been in this industry for decades. He's seen it all. And his history with Diddy? It's deeper than most people realize. Back in the day, Usher was living under Diddy's roof as a teenager, soaking up the music business, learning the ropes, or at least, that's what the public was told. But according to insiders, there's a much darker side to that story. Now, with these new legal proceedings, it looks like Usher might finally be forced to talk about what really went down. And Diddy? He's panicking, because if even half of what people are saying is true, this trial could change everything. But here's where it gets even messy, eh? Usher isn't the only name being brought into this. Justin Bieber's involvement is raising eyebrows too. Some sources are suggesting that Bieber was allegedly handed over to Diddy through Usher. Now, that's a serious claim, and it's one that could send shockwaves through the industry. So the question is, what does Usher know? And more importantly, what is he willing to say? Because if he steps into that courtroom and lays it all out, Diddy's entire empire could come crumbling down. And trust me, the last thing Diddy wants is for Usher to start talking. Now let's break this down, because there's a lot to unpack here. Diddy's legal troubles aren't just rumors anymore. They're official, and they're escalating fast. Federal investigators aren't just looking into him. They're tearing apart every corner of his world. We're talking about charges that go way beyond just financial crimes or industry disputes. This is about racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution. And if that sounds serious, that's because it is. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Diddy's legal team is in full-blown panic mode. They're scrambling to keep crucial evidence from ever seeing the light of day. According to legal filings, his lawyers are pushing hard to suppress a mountain of evidence gathered during recent federal raids. We're not just talking about a couple of documents or some random emails. No, this is way bigger than that. Authorities seized evidence from multiple locations: Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami mansions, his iCloud account, and even a New York hotel room. And if he's fighting this hard to keep those findings under wraps, it raises a huge question. What exactly are they hiding? His defense team is arguing that the searches were unconstitutional. They're claiming investigators used misleading information to get search warrants, essentially tricking the courts into letting them dig into Diddy's private affairs. It's a bold move, but let's be real. When someone goes this far to block evidence, it's usually not because they have nothing to hide. And here's what makes it worse for Diddy. Federal cases like this, they don't just happen overnight. The fact that these raids even took place means authorities have been building this case for a long time. They don't move in unless they already have enough to justify serious action. And now, with Usher possibly being dragged into the mix, the pressure on Diddy is reaching a boiling point. But the real question is, will the court actually throw out this evidence? Or is this just a desperate attempt to stall what's coming next? Because if this evidence holds up, it could be game over. And trust me, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Let's keep going. Usher stepping into this legal mess is not something Diddy ever wanted to see happen, but it looks like it's happening anyway. According to multiple sources, Usher is expected to take the stand. And if that's true, his testimony could be devastating. Now, let's not forget, Usher has a long history with Diddy, one that dates back to his teenage years. This wasn't just a casual mentorship or a record label connection. Usher was actually living with Diddy as a young artist, placed in what was called Puffy Flavor Camp. On the surface, this was supposed to be a boot camp for rising stars, an opportunity to learn the music business from one of the biggest moguls in the game. But according to what Usher himself has said in the past, it was anything but that. Usher has openly admitted that during his time with Diddy, he was exposed to things no teenager should have been. He talked about being taken to adult clubs, being around behavior that was wildly inappropriate for his age, and witnessing things that, in hindsight, he clearly wasn't comfortable with. And while he never went into deep detail, the implications have always been there. something wasn't right. For years, people brushed this off as just another example of the music industry's wild culture. But now, it's looking like there was way more to the story. And if Usher is being brought in to testify, it's likely because prosecutors believe he has critical information that could connect the dots. What's even more telling is how Usher has distanced himself from Diddy in recent years. They used to be tight, publicly at least. But somewhere along the way, Usher backed away. He stopped affiliating with Diddy, stopped being seen at events together, and made it clear in subtle ways that he had moved on. And let's be real, people don't just cut off powerful industry figures like Diddy for no reason. Now, the fact that Usher could be testifying is huge, but it also raises a big question. How much is he willing to reveal? Because if he tells everything he allegedly saw, everything he allegedly experienced, it could be a turning point in this entire case. And let's not forget, Usher isn't the only name tied up in this. Because if what people are saying is true, he may have played a role in bringing someone else into Diddy's world. Someone even more high profile. Let's get into that next. Usher's connection to Diddy isn't just about mentorship or music. There's a much darker layer to this story. And when you start connecting the dots, things get even more unsettling. Back in 2018, Usher made headlines for all the wrong reasons. A lawsuit was filed against him, claiming he had infected multiple people with herpes without disclosing his condition. The allegations were explosive. Several individuals came forward, detailing their experiences, and eventually, Usher settled one of the cases for a reported $1.1 million. Now here's where things take a turn, because some people are saying this is... Think about it. Usher was placed under Diddy's wing as a teenager, allegedly exposed to situations that no young artist should ever be in. The clubs, the parties, the late-night scenes. All of it normalized behavior that, for someone that young, could shape their entire outlook on relationships and boundaries. And if what's being hinted at is true, then it's possible that the habits and decisions that later led to Usher's legal troubles might have started in those early years under Diddy's influence. Of course, Usher has never outright blamed Diddy for anything, but the timing, the circumstances, it all raises a lot of questions. If Usher really was exposed to inappropriate behavior at such a young age, how much of that played a role in the choices he made later in life? And here's the part that really makes this interesting. Usher distancing himself from Diddy might not just be about protecting his own image. It could be about finally recognizing just how much influence Diddy had over him, and not in a good way. But Usher isn't the only artist whose past might lead back to Diddy, because there's another name that keeps coming up in this mess. One that's even bigger. And if what people are saying is true, this could be where everything starts to unravel. Let's talk about Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's rise to fame was fast, almost too fast. And at the center of it all, two powerful figures, Usher and Diddy. But what people are starting to realize now is that this connection may have been about more than just music. Back when Bieber was still just a kid with a YouTube channel, he was introduced to Usher. And it wasn't long before Usher took him under his wing, helping him secure a record deal. The story always went that Bieber had two choices: sign with Usher or Justin Timberlake. He went with Usher, and at the time, it seemed like a smart move. After all, Usher was a superstar, someone who had been through the industry and knew how to guide young talent. But now, years later, disturbing allegations are surfacing. Claims that Usher didn't just introduce Bieber to the music world, but also to Diddy. And that's where things take a turn. There's speculation, serious speculation, that at some point, Usher allegedly allowed Diddy to gain temporary legal guardianship over Bieber for 48 hours, while he was still a minor. Now let that sink in. Why would something like that ever be necessary? And what exactly happened during those 48 hours? Whatever it was, it seems like Bieber has been working hard to erase all ties to both men. Over the last few years, he has completely distanced himself, not just from Diddy, but from Usher as well. The first big sign? He unfollowed Usher on social media, a move that fans immediately noticed. Then came the 2024 Super Bowl halftime show, where Usher was set to perform. For months, people assumed Bieber would be a surprise guest. After all, their history together made it seem like a no-brainer. But when the time came, Bieber didn't show. Not only did he refuse to perform, but according to sources, he had no interest in even being there. And here's where things get even darker. There are claims that Bieber's introduction to Diddy's circle wasn't just about music or mentorship. Some sources are saying that this was when Bieber was first exposed to drugs and an unhealthy lifestyle, something that would later spiral into the struggles he faced in his early career. Now, Bieber has never outright confirmed any of this, but the pattern is hard to ignore. He cut ties. He removed himself from the equation. And if he's staying silent while people dig deeper into Diddy's past, it might be because he knows more than he's willing to say. But Bieber might not be able to stay quiet forever, because if this case keeps moving forward, there's a real possibility that his name could come up next. And if that happens, things could get even messy, eh? Let's talk about why Diddy is more desperate than ever to shut this case down. People in the industry have been whispering about Diddy's influence for years. But now, those whispers are turning into full-blown allegations, and the story's coming out. They're painting a picture that's worse than anyone could have imagined. Multiple insiders, people who've been in the rooms, seen what goes on behind closed doors, are now saying that Usher and Justin Bieber were both groomed. Not just mentored, not just guided through the industry, groomed. And if that's true, it changes everything. According to sources, Diddy allegedly had a pattern, a way of bringing young, impressionable artists into his world, introducing them to a lifestyle that they weren't ready for, and keeping them close under the guise of mentorship. And when you look at the stories surrounding Usher, Bieber, and even other young artists who crossed paths with him, it starts to make sense. Some insiders are even saying that Diddy's influence led to serious trauma, not just emotional damage, but substance abuse, questionable experiences, and a level of control that kept these artists in check for years. And here's where things take a disturbing turn, because according to one claim, things allegedly got so bad that a minor was hospitalized after a Diddy party. Now, let's be clear, there are no official records tying Diddy to this incident. But the fact that people in the industry are even talking about this, that says a lot. And if there's even a shred of truth to it, then it's only a matter of time before more people start coming forward. The reality is, Diddy isn't just facing legal trouble. He's facing an unraveling of his entire legacy. More and more, it's looking like this case isn't just about finances or contracts. It's about power, control, and the exploitation of young artists who trusted the wrong people. And if Usher really does testify, if Bieber ever speaks out, if more insiders come forward, Diddy won't just be fighting in the courtroom. He'll be fighting to keep everything from collapsing. And with that much pressure building, it's no surprise that Diddy is trying to silence this case before it gets any worse. But at this point, is there even a way out? Let's talk about what happens next. Diddy's legal problems are bad enough. But now, even his own team is walking away. And when your top lawyers start abandoning ship, that's never a good sign. One of Diddy's most trusted attorneys, Anthony Rico, just quit the case. And not quietly, either. He cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for stepping away, which is a polite way of saying things got messy behind the scenes. Lawyers don't just walk away from high-profile cases like this unless there's something they don't want to be involved in. But that's not even the biggest blow, because his entire legal firm, Grubman, Shire, Mycelas, and Sachs, also dropped him. Now, if you're not familiar with that name, just know this. They don't just represent anyone. This is the firm that works with Lady Gaga, Usher, and some of the biggest names in the industry. So for them to cut ties with Diddy, that's major. And here's where it gets interesting. There are rumors that Lady Gaga herself pressured the firm to drop him. If that's true, it means even industry power players want nothing to do with him. And let's be real, these legal teams don't just work with celebrities, they protect them. If they believed Diddy was going to come out of this clean, why would they walk away? Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team is scrambling to spin the narrative. They're claiming that the charges against him are racially motivated, arguing that his personal relationships are being twisted into something sinister. They want people to believe this is just another example of a successful black entrepreneur being targeted. But let's be honest, when your own lawyers, your own firm, and your own industry peers are cutting you off, it stops looking like a conspiracy and starts looking like damage control. And here's what makes it even worse for Diddy. This is just the beginning. Because if more people start speaking out, he could be facing even more legal trouble than what's already on the table. So what happens next? Let's break that down. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. This could be the beginning of something much bigger. Because what's happening right now? It's pulling back the curtain on something that's been whispered about in Hollywood for years. The entertainment industry has always had a dark side. Stories of abuse, manipulation, and power being used in all the wrong ways. But until now, so much of it has been covered up, buried under NDAs, and protected by people in high places. Diddy's downfall? It might just be the first domino to fall. There's a reason people are paying close attention to this case. Because if these allegations are proven true, it won't stop with Diddy. The industry is built on connections. And if investigators start pulling at the right threads, who knows who else could be exposed? And here's the thing. Once one person speaks up, others follow. That's exactly what happened with the hashtag #MeToo movement. It started with a few allegations. Then suddenly, Hollywood's biggest names were being held accountable. The same thing could happen here. There's already speculation that more celebrities, artists, executives, even actors, may come forward with their own accusations. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a reckoning. A power shift in an industry that has protected the wrong people for way too long. And Diddy? He might just be the first big name to go down. But if this case keeps unraveling, he definitely won't be the last. So what happens next? That depends on who's willing to talk and who's got the power to stop it. Diddy's world is crumbling fast, and at this point, it looks like there's no way out. The federal charges against him aren't just rumors. They're real, they're serious, and they're stacking up. And now, with his own legal team abandoning him, it's clear that even the people closest to him don't believe he can win this fight. But what might be even worse for Diddy is who's being dragged into this case. Usher is reportedly testifying, and his past connection to Diddy isn't just business. It's deeply personal. He lived under Diddy's roof as a teenager. He saw things. He knows things. And if he speaks up about what really happened during that time, it could destroy Diddy's entire defense. Then there's Justin Bieber, another former protege, who has made it very clear that he wants nothing to do with either Diddy or Usher. He unfollowed Usher. He refused to perform at the Super Bowl. And if the speculation is true that he was pulled into Diddy's world at a young age, his silence speaks volumes. But here's the real takeaway. This case isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about the entertainment industry as a whole. For years, these stories have been pushed aside, ignored, or hidden behind powerful lawyers and expensive settlements. But now, the truth is starting to come out. And the biggest question is, who's next? This case could be the start of something massive. A reckoning that forces Hollywood to finally answer for its darkest secrets. Because if one person is exposed, others will follow. What do you think? Will Diddy be the first of many to go down? Or is there still a way for him to escape this? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, this story is far from over.